Broken Sword 4, The Angel of Death. Man, that sounds ominous, doesn't it? Well, it just means that in this game we have an encounter with the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, it does carry some good traditions throughout the that we've had in the games. Of course, George is our protagonist again. And this time, things are a little different. Apparently, George is at the time working for a bonds bail bonds agency, and a woman named Anna Marie comes to him for help. And apparently, some mobsters are after her as well. Well, apparently, she knows about something dangerous. And so, we begin our adventure trying to find out why is the mob after this woman. Of course, we have to escape as they, raid our office. Luckily, they don't kill anybody. Cause a good deal of damage, but, we have to escape with her. Then head off to her hotel room, which unfortunately is now being watched by more mobsters. Now, we can come to a conclusion that they are trying to stop her from finding something or get her as she has something. So it's going to take a lot of outsmarting. Outsmarting of the mobsters, outsmarting of the hotel owner. Of course, and what we find out is they were trying to stop her or get what she had, which they were a little bit successful at, leading George to now infiltrate their headquarters in New York, which is a meat packing plant. Of course, we do get to see what happens to someone who fails, and we have to solve some problems. We gotta get the mobsters out of the office, gotta figure a way to the office. And why would they be after this young lady and the manuscript that she has? Well, this is what we have to figure out. In fact, as we make our discoveries and we find out that what they're what she's really looking for, the manuscript will lead us to someplace in Turkey. So, what do we do? Obviously, we go to Turkey, and of course, the place we're looking for is underneath the palace, and of course, the palace is very booked. And we're also having to deal with someone else, but we don't find out everything until much later. However, as we work our way through the palace and using some trickery and skullduggery to get past the guards and into the underground area of the palace, we find a lost tomb of sorts. And the manuscript leads us past the tomb into, well, to finding something called a cherub. And if you ever seen any depictions of the Ark of the Covenant, this is one of the two angel-like things that's on top of it. So what do? Plain and simple. Once we get the cherub, things happen. Anna Marie disappears with it. This is after George has a fun little night with her. And of course, because she disappears, we somehow get arrested. Well, for all the chaos we've caused. And apparently we are now to be executed. At least that's the way it appears. But someone has called for our help, or to help us. What we get is what looks like a padre and a priest and a nun. The nun apparently gives us stuff so to help us escape, which we do, and then meet up with her, only to find out it's Nicole. So she's been called in on this too. So what's the deal? Well, now she and George are working together to try and figure out what's the deal with this Anna Marie. Who is she really? In fact, we find our way to an apartment in Rome because our investigation seems to show us that she was a nun, possibly a nun for a time. And, well, to figure things out, we have to get into her apartment. And we also find out about an amazing discovery of mononucleic gold. I think that's what they said it was. Apparently, it's an amazing discovery that they were able to create, or someone was able to create, be basically the ultimate fuel source if you think about it. It has so many good uses, it can even make you healthy, apparently. But there are other things that we learn. In fact, what we learn is that this gold is powerful. And it was made in Arizona. So Nicole heads out to there while we continue our search around in Rome, discovering that talking with some, sneaking into the Vatican, that there is something going on. Apparently, there is some sort of something going on with one of the orders, or with some of the priests, that they are up to something, or that they are trying to. Of course, when we mention Anna, it does gain some interest, but we still have to figure things out. As it turns out, the priest, well, the priests do have a place they go to. I think it was the Black Cat Club or something like that. I mean, we find another priest who is also eager for, to have, earned their way to get to there, but he's also, he's looking for a little bit of adventure. So helping out George and Nicole would be perfect for that. Of course, this is what we find out. After we get there, we find it seems like the mafia and some of the priests are working together, which makes us wonder about some things. We even run into an old familiar face from some of the previous titles. But as things play out, we found out some things there, trying to figure out what happened to, you know, uh, Anna. Seems not even the mafia knows where she is or what's going on. What it turns out is, once we finally, make some more discoveries, thinking that because we overheard something while we were caught by the mob, that something bad has happened to Nicole. Of course, George heads able to escape the clutches of the mafia. A little bit distraught because one, can't find Anna. Two, Nicole might be it seems appears to be dead. Of course, when he gets back to Anna's apartment, we have a drastic wake up call. Basically, somebody placed a bomb in her apartment. So what do? Simple. We we basically work to defuse the bomb, hopefully, and then we head into. Well, once we have that done, we have Anna back, or we have Nicole back. And she basically tells you what happened in Arizona, how she snuck into the destroyed factory where this stuff was being made, this special gold. We run across the person who did it, found out he had ties to Anna. Man, Anna's gotten into a lot of shit. Of course, we need to find out stuff, but unfortunately, we need to break into a safe to do it. Which we use you know, a pretty unorthodox way to open the safe, one that cost the scientist who discovered how to make this stuff his life. Then we have to get out of there before, you know, get the information back to Rome. Touch base. This is also the events that George hears, thinking, making him think Nicole's dead. However, it starts to be discussed. We start to really put things together as we, get closer to the end, and again have to sneak into the Vatican. And once we get into the Vatican, again, we also have Mark follow us, because of course he wants to get in on this. And this is what we find out. We find out a lot of stuff. We find out that there is a group in the Vatican who want to use the, quote, angel of death to, one, wipe out the unbelievers in the faith, and then, those who are surviving will be part of the new order. Of course, to do this, they will need a sacrifice, and there has to be a way to protect the people who were to be safe. That being, of course, basically you are, you know, special wafers with the gold in it. And the gold also needs to be used to power the angel of death, which is in the Ark of the Covenant. Or the Ark of the Covenant is what allowed you to harness the angel of death. Feeding into the whole no touch, if you touch the Ark of the Covenant with your hands, you die. And other lore, like opening it is hazardous to anyone's health who's, looks into it. Well, what happens? And where's this being done? Under the Vatican. So you have to get in there. And you start piecing together things. So apparently there was a fraternal order of priests looking to do this, and you had the rest of them who were trying to stop it. Also, the mob that's been getting involved is also trying to stop this. Like the mob family had a sacred duty to stop this thing from happening. Also, as you finally enter the catacombs and start figuring, working your way through to the mass chamber where they're holding the service and preparing for this all, you find Anna again. Turns out Anna did believe in the cause at first, but then, when she realized what they wanted to do, well, then we have to wipe them out. I mean, it's one of those things. You don't want to do it. At the same time, you need to do it. Or, like, when you realize the cost is too high. So, literally, she was trying to stop them. And once she found, of course, the angel, or we found the cherub, the only way to stop them is for her to go into hiding. Of course, they caught her, obviously. So now George is working his way in. Mark finds a way to get down there, comes in with the mafia people to fight these mad, priests. And then once you get all the way through that, you have to stop the angel. You have to stop the, the angel from fully activating. Of course, we also find out that the gentleman that got Nicole down there and got her in the mess to rescue you from the jail, and was also posing as a waiter in the hotel you were at in Turkey, Oh yeah, he's actually a random mercenary, and he wants the quote thing intact so he can sell it to the highest buyer. Anna comes in, basically takes a bullet so George can complete wrecking the thing so it will never work again. And we find out Anna did sacrifice her life. We've saved Nicole. We've saved the world. George gets to do that. These two get to do this a lot in this series. Save the world. The cost is obviously on the high side. Well, because George was really falling for Anna. Can't necessarily blame her. Or blame him. But, you know, they are successful. This was another fun entry into this series. I mean, we get to see some characters return. And we get to learn certain things about how, the characters' lives after that. And there's so much more to learn. I mean, more. It was not. I can't say I'm surprised that the item in that is at the base of everything is another biblical relic. And this game introduced something new with the ability to hack into systems, which, it's kind of needed to, get past certain things. The trick is, of course, solving the puzzles in the proper way. And, you can still move, or, it does work a bit with controller. But it is the another of the 3D adventures in this series, which I will admit it's a nice touch, but you have to always, sort of remember where you are in position and when, scenes change, angles change and all that. And it does keep you guessing to the end. I mean, there were a good many plot twists to surprise you and all that. So I can't necessarily complain about that. Sometimes it's what you need to keep a story interesting. Am I all right with the George and Nicole relationship now in this one? Eh, I don't know. I always thought I liked that they made a cute couple. Maybe they'll get back together. Who knows? Of course, it's fun to some of the trickery George pulls is kind of on the fun side in this. But this was a very good entry in the series. And of course, we'll be moving on to the next one very soon. Trust me on that. I mean, were there some things that I would have liked to have seen a little different in this one? Yeah, I think there would have been some things I would have liked to have seen done a little differently. But, I mean, when we saw, I think, Dwayne appear again, it sort of gives more credence to his really odd lifestyle, claiming to be CIA and all that. And, it does, work a lot on, finding out information. And when you have to hack into systems and get information, it works very well too. But that's all I'm going to say about Broken Sword 4, The Angel of Death. Like I said, it was a fun entry, and I mean, it wasn't a bad entry. So that's a good thing for a series. It's the those tough entries that if they happen, you know, later in a series, you know. But this wasn't one of those, and I'm glad. So until next time, I hope you all take care and have fun. Bye.